welcome to the webinar. If you're looking for more information on Defender, considering using it, or you've deployed it already and are looking for additional help and getting value out of it, you're in the right place. I am looking forward to spending this time with all of you today for just the next few minutes, sharing one of my passions, and that is protecting customers, protecting them from the plague of security issues out there. Obviously, we aim to be a trusted advisor to our customers, and we really try to reach out, connect with them directly. And our passion is protecting them and giving them a deep security expertise as much as possible, providing that through software and our people. So welcome. As we get started here, I'd like to introduce Nikki Doggart. She will be moderating the questions and the chat here. Nikki, say a quick hello if she's available.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Great. Thank you. Let's go ahead and jump in. So first question, we see it regularly. I know we all have that question, obviously, when we jump in as well. So we'll answer it straight up front here. Yes. And then not only recording it, but we will proactively send that out to all the registrants and also attendees, obviously, with a link. So whether you were able to make it or you have maybe colleagues or others that weren't, they will also get this if they had signed up. So just a quick, by way of introduction, some fun facts there. My role at Red Canary is essentially all things Microsoft, as I describe it. So as the GM of the Red Canary plus Microsoft solution, the offering there, I spend a lot of time with customers, understanding what their needs are, as well as working with our teams internally to best align with one of our top strategic partners, Microsoft. We have a very tight shared vision with them. You'll see and hear many of the similar things in the security ecosystem, if you will, around a passion for protecting customers and helping them better understand the threat landscape and the things that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and working to make that something that we are solving together. And you'll see through the rest of this webinar here how that happens. So when we say shared ethos or technology allies, this isn't just a marketing platitude or a quick label. We've actually been working together for going on 3+ years now. Microsoft reached out to Red Canary, given our position in the industry and our reputation back in 2018 to start this partnership. It was an exciting journey about understanding kind of what we are doing together, what we could do together. So Rob Lefferts, corporate VP in the product group, reached out to our CEO, Brian Beyer. And as you can see, we've obviously developed strong ties from a technology perspective, laying that foundation. And then as we moved into bringing on customers and the full-on go-to-market aspect here, you can see the IP co-sell certification followed on. And we were thankful and honored to be invited to do the Ignite security keynote with Rob Lefferts and team just back in March here. So there's a long track record here, and many customers from enterprise large customers down to the small SMB as well. We have a wide range of obviously, as Microsoft does as well. Our customer bases are very, very similar. We reflect that. So if we go here to the next one, Red Canary's MDR and Microsoft's Defender for Endpoint really combine to give you what we call a better together solution, right? And so we supercharge Defender in some very interesting and unique ways, and we'll talk about that more today, about how that it's not just a technology integration or ingesting big data for big data's sake, but the outcome is truly something that provides you as a potential customer or some of our existing customers. I know we have some of them on as well. Much more value from the investment in Defender, and then of course the increased upside from MDR, from having an MDR offering as well. So to take a look at it from a data perspective, you can see here, this is taken from an existing customer or kind of an average of our customers, if you will. But on the far left there, in any one month. This is a 30-day view here. The inbound telemetry is massive, right? We are watching all of the process starts and stops, file creations, all of the things that happen on an endpoint, on a laptop, server, those types of those are things that we refer to as endpoints, if you will. And so everything that is generating telemetry through the Defender SaaS offering sends that directly over to us. You can see in the layout here, everything on the left that is black is our software and our processes that are running against that data. And then on the right, everything in red are essentially our people. So you can see the heavy lift here going from billions of telemetry records on a monthly basis, and then narrowing that down to the tip-offs there. So our engine finds the needles in the haystack that we want our people to go look at. And so you can see that that third column there in the middle, obviously this is where the people and the software converge. And we have events that are raised, and then analysts, detection engineers that are looking at those and examining and investigating those for you, for our Defender customers. So when you heard in the video initially, Terrence, the CISO there of Thycotic, sharing that we reduce false positives, that's one of the ways that we do this, right? We have people looking at these things and verifying them, investigating them, if needed, jumping all the way back into your Defender console to do some investigation as well. And at the end of the day, what that allows us to do is to create 100% confirmed detections. And so what go out to you as the customer, again, Terrence referred to, his team and himself sleeping at night and having normal weekends. That's what he's referring to, is when you get something, a red alert confirmed detection from Red Canary, it is absolutely all hands on deck, let's go. So it's kind of wake up the troops if it's the middle of the night, but it's time to move. But until you receive those, you have confidence that we are looking at all of them on a 24/7 basis. So if we jump into the Red Canary demo portion of this, we're not going to do, given the time and the abbreviated focus here, we're not going to do a full-blown demo of the Red Canary portal and the platform that you would get if you engaged our teams further to explore this. But I do want to give you from a highlight perspective, the dashboard is obviously a demo dashboard here. So we only have 3 endpoints active over the last 72 hours. But you can see through simply just scrolling down right in the main page, the home page here, all of the intelligence and the detection updates that are happening in the engine. And this again is happening for all of our customers in real time as those updates are pushed out. So you can see what's been happening not only today, but of course things that are going on inside of your environment, detections, threats, etc., that'll be available. And then to jump over all of the demo to kind of the rubber meets the road portion of what does a confirmed threat look like, I wanted to share as part of this understanding. I know we have a kind of a broad range in the audience here of roles. So from an analyst perspective, you're out there every day in the trenches fighting the fight. Wanted to share what a confirmed detection provides to you as far as investigation and what Red Canary has brought to the table and stitched together for you to understand an active threat. For security leaders, I know we have a number of CISOs and executives on the security side as well, hoping to show you how Red Canary frees up your teams to focus on more specific use cases, and whether it's threat hunting and things that they are, high priority projects that they have going in the security realm. We have your back, right? We've got the front lines and we're watching that. And of course, architects and engineers, I know we have some of those as well. Welcome. You can see the seamless integration that can be live literally within hours, the way Microsoft has built this Defender integration. We'll touch on that, a brief overview of that in just a moment. So if we look at what a confirmed threat looks like, the fog of war, as many of you have experienced, if you will, or the fog of a threat, an active threat, can oftentimes cloud the perspective, and getting your bearings here is a key part of understanding what's going on. So right at the top here, we provide a human generated summary, if you will, or a human built overview of what's happening. So our detection engineers will give you, as you can see here, malicious script executing, lateral movement, reconnaissance. This is what's going on right now. We need to take action. It really gives you kind of a succinct overview of what's happening at the top. You can see here this layer really affected endpoints. Obviously, this demo only has one, but if there were multiples, you would see that, obviously identities as well. And then as we drill down into the techniques, this helps you understand, when we map this out onto the MITRE framework, I'll show in just a moment, helps you see exactly what's being used, what type of technique or in this thread is being activated. And you can see the MITRE button on the right. If we were to jump over to that, we've got the full MITRE framework here, and then we map and highlight which ones in red are the ones that this particular attack is leveraging, to give you a quick overview of that. Of course, the intelligence that contributed here, 95% of what Red Canary does from our thousands of detectors are behavior based. And so we are looking for suspicious type of behaviors, and obviously IOCs and malware and those types of things. Defender does an amazing job of on the AV side of catching and blocking the majority of that malware. And so the value that Red Canary layers on top of Defender is a significant background in behavior detections. Now, Defender, to be very clear, has behavioral detections as well, and that team is quickly ramping up and has a large number of behavioral detections also. But you'll see later, we on average we about double what Defender detections come out. So this is a big part of what those detections are based on. If we jump down to the actual timeline, so this is really where the rubber meets the road. So threat occurred here, and then our teams, given our analyst detection engineer workbench behind the scenes, they're stitching those things together so that you're presented with a very logical flow and a very easily understood flow, and you can start to see what's actually happening here. In blue are the notes from Red Canary to you as the customer, and so we're helping you quickly understand this is looks like a backup database file. It's a malicious script disguised as such, right? And if you just continue to scroll through here, this is the threat actor launching Windows calc.exe, which in and of itself is a benign activity. However, connected to this thread, they're actually testing lateral movement, right? So if you continue to scroll down through here, we as part of this test, we blew up a number of techniques in one here so we could capture those. So you can see that we're helping our detection engineers, which is double confirmed, by the way. Before we send out a confirmed detection, we always have a second set of analysts' eyes look at it and confirm with our detection engineers that this is indeed the case. You can see here's reconnaissance happening, new processes happen, and we actually are not just catching the process, but giving some interpretation, giving some insight back to you as the customer. And then as we get to the bottom here, there's a lot more information or tooling around how to interact with our incident handling team, our threat response teams as well. And then you can see being able to confirm this threat. Yes, it's been remediated. In many cases, if we had some automated steps in here, you would also see those for remediation and the like. And then you'd be able to confirm that this was either dealt with or not yet. And if it's not remediated, you get a number of options to tell us why, and maybe there's some additional steps that need to happen, and we'll be in the fight with you. You actually have an incident handler that will join you as part of this effort. So if we move back to the slides here. So complete endpoint security, that's Defender, right? So they have an EPP solution covering, I like to call it the left brain, the antivirus, and the right brain, the EDR side of things. So combining those two really gives a complete endpoint security tool to customers, so that they've got it covered from that perspective. And then Red Canary essentially supercharges, or that better together story gives it the added lift of adding people to the mix. So as you can see here, the alerts and telemetry flow from Defender into the Red Canary engine, as we saw in just a few slides ago. Our SOC looks at it, analyzes it, and then if a confirmed threat is determined, goes out to you as a customer. There's a feedback loop as well. So I want to make it super clear that we're not only ingesting the alerts from Defender and investigating them and confirming them, we also then update that back into your Defender console. So you will see, and if we have enough time here, I think it'll work out to show you inside Defender what an alert would would look like when we update it back from Red Canary through the API into your Defender console. So we are closing alerts and notifications inside of Defender as well. Again, a value add there, meaning that your team doesn't have to have both consoles open. And that's what Terrence shared at the beginning, is within about the first 30 days, they quickly realized that it wasn't necessary to have their teams going into both of those, because Red Canary is actively updating everything that's happening in the Defender console. And we do provide links and status and notes to those as well, if you want to capture things there. So how easy is it to set up the Defender integration, right? Is this a 6 weeks, feet on the ground, show up and do an integration type of a thing? The great news is no. And if you look here at the Defender we jumped right over here to the Defender console. If you look at the menu here on the left, and the data export settings, this is the integration. You'll see it. You'll see the screen happen live before your eyes. So we click here, we drop in we use Azure Event Hubs for that data. So as soon as we give you the resource ID for your customer event hub, we will begin seeing data within minutes. And as you save this export setting, we will begin ingesting, processing that data, and off to the races, right? Our analysts will begin looking at that. So the answer is clearly no. Not a long-term integration. In fact, there's not a implementation effort at all. It's simply a move forward through the console, and then obviously in conjunction with our teams, there's a few API and permissioning steps that you have to give us to allow us access into your console. As an MDR provider, we want to be able to have the full ability to do advanced hunting queries and the like. But this is the extent of the data export integration. I want to just pause briefly, Nikki. Anything in the chat or questions that we want to address now, or should we keep moving forward?
Let's wait until the end. Thank you.
Sounds great. So that was the telemetry export. We use the term security ally very intentionally, right? We've spent many years working with our customers, and for those of you that don't know Red Canary, that's something that we pride ourselves in. We come alongside our customers, locking arms is how I describe it quite often. That we are, and Terrence referred to it in the video, unprompted, by the way, that we are viewed as an extension of his security team, and most of our customers view that. Don't want to put words in everyone's mouth, but that's how we approach the relationship. So as an extension of your security team, we are on the front lines. We're letting you know when we see things. We have quarterly business reviews. We provide information to you and your teams to give to like an executive security review, for example, or the board. We have that type of quarterly business review function. The reporting in the platform does as well. And so you can go in and pull a wide myriad of information and data about the threats and what we're seeing, and what Red Canary is, the value that we're providing to you. You can see on the right-hand side, as part of just a standard part of the onboarding process, we don't charge for implementation. We don't have extra line items for the rollouts or for setting up event hubs and things like that. It's very straightforward. The Red Canary service, the MDR service, is essentially one line item on your invoice, and this is what you get, right? And so the coaching, the training as part of rolling out Defender, if you haven't yet, obviously we don't show up at your site and do the deployment itself, but we do take a very vested interest in the process and the strategy, then in helping around Intune and rollout of Defender if needed. If that's already in place, obviously we have an ongoing interest in making sure that you're fully utilizing Defender, that it's fully deployed across your environment. And we also work very closely with our Microsoft counterparts to make sure that happens as well. So we have a very tight connection, given our IP co-sell certification, that we work with Microsoft's field teams on many of our largest deals are done in conjunction with, and even SMB, and a number of those that are Microsoft managed as well. So we have that connection that we can bring to the table. Let's see here. Yes. So let's look at some stats. Just two quick numbers here. When we talk about when we talk about noise, it's worth clarifying, and we have with the Microsoft teams as well. We don't refer to noise in a negative way or something that gives the connotation that it's not useful. Well, we simply have a slightly different definition, and that is that to be useful data to us, it has to create or contribute to a security outcome, right? And so the data coming in from Defender, there's a lot, right? And you'll see as we jump into the demo, that definitely has a very powerful alerting capability and the ability to look at insights and threats. But from a security outcome perspective, meaning you need to take action now, our automation needs to kick off and isolate an endpoint, for example, remediation needs to move forward. There, outside of that data, that contributes to the security outcomes, there is very useful information there, and many customers stream it over into Sentinel as their SIEM or others to do additional analysis, context gathering, and even postmortem. Root cause analysis type of information. So there is a lot of very useful and helpful information that's available as part of the Defender tool. When we put on the blinders as an MDR for you to focus on keeping those endpoints secure 100% of the time, that is what we're referring to. So the noise that we cut out there is everything else that doesn't contribute to a confirmed detection and something you need to take action on. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, we double the detections that come out of Defender. So the partnership here is the value is, I think, very clear from a statistical perspective when you look at the metrics and being able to give you additional coverage and really unmatched threat detection when you combine the two. So if we look at Defender, for some of those on the call, I know you indicated you had not seen Defender yet, or were interested in just a quick overview. One of the main areas that you spend time in as an analyst is the alert queue, right? And so if we look at the last 6 months here, I'm going to jump into as many as we can get on the page. This is the Defender alert queue, directly looking at here, obviously our demo test environment, but you can see what that looks like. And if we were to filter these out, one of the things that will hopefully get us more quickly to what we want to see is filtering by resolve status here. And what that means is that the alert has been closed and resolved. And so what that'll give us, if we scroll back here, is to look at something. Hopefully we'll hit one here where Red Canary has actually provided some updates back into the alert itself. So you can see there's a lot of information, a very useful process tree here. And if we were to scroll down in the bottom right, we were able to grab one. So this alert has been correlated to process activity by Red Canary. And you can see here as we go through, we are providing notes in here through the automation, the integration on the API. And then ultimately, as we're closing it, we are changing it. This is the Red Canary engine moving through the Defender API into the alert itself to change the status. And you can see here it was changed to false alert. So this is something that we've worked directly with Microsoft to integrate as well. They requested that we would actually change the classification so that they can monitor where Red Canary is involved and seeing false positives. They can jump in and learn from that as well. Our threat detection teams, and you can see later it was actually changed to a true alert, right? So our threat detection teams are working together on a regular basis, kind of behind the scenes with threat research and analysis to help jointly benefit from the research that their teams are doing and ours as well. And when we first started that connection, probably a year ago, both teams, I think, were surprised at how well our processes aligned and how closely they matched. And so we've got a kind of a two-way connection there that happens on a regular basis, sharing intelligence and information. So if we look at the kind of the word on the street, if you will, the idea of Red Canary as an MDR provider really has a lot more meaning, a lot more depth underneath the covers when we look at it as an extension of a security team. Really, the ability to bring in a provider that has 24/7 coverage. We call it our CERT, or our Cyber Incident Response Team. They are working around the clock and looking in and watching at that data. And then if there were to be a threat, as you saw in the nice graph graph there where we filtered it through on the far right. Our response engineer then engages directly with your team. We've had stories where we've had to literally track down the CISO at a baseball game, for example, and try to get the personal cell phone numbers and let them know something's this is serious enough, right? And so we take our job very seriously, and we have escalation methods in place, and we have automation built to tackle that. But there's times where we do just have to pick up the phone and let you as the customer know that we're on it, but we need to jump into this now and take action. So the term that Terrence uses here is the easy button, and we've heard many other customers refer to us as that same process. So thank you for the time, and I appreciate your interest in the combined solution here of Red Canary plus Defender. We've had significant success in the market, and it's just super exciting to see as we kick off Microsoft's fiscal year here started on July 1st, as we kind of look at what's new. Some of you may have heard Satya's keynote yesterday announcing some of the big changes and some of the product improvements and features that they're rolling out. So Microsoft is, as we like to say, has come the farthest, the fastest of any security vendor that we work with. So I'm super excited to be a part of the team and be involved in this partnership. So Nikki, let's take questions now.
Great, thank you. We've got a few here. One is, I have an EDR today and am considering transitioning to Defender. How can Red Canary help with that migration?
You bet. So we have a transition program that we announced. We'll probably share either in the chat here or in the follow-up, that we have a blog post that kind of describes how that works. But we have a transition program to help if you're considering, or if you've already moved and you're, let's say, running two agents today and trying to figure out that process of how do we get over to Defender. Regardless of where you're at, we can help you with that process. We have a deep understanding of many of the leading EDR vendors, and from a Defender perspective, we have a program that's designed for transition. We're seeing a significant uptick, honestly, in transitions from some type of EDR solution to the Defender platform, which is exciting, and something that we're obviously we're expecting as part of the investment in Microsoft has made in their security platforms. But we have a program in place to do that will help you from a commercial terms perspective, but also just overall understanding what that looks like as you transition from one to the other.
Great, thank you. We've got a couple questions around pricing. The pricing model for the service, is it done per entity, per alert, but also how do you purchase the joint solution? So both the Red Canary MDR piece as well as Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, please.
Yes, so we work directly with, given the IP co-sell relationship, we work directly with the Microsoft teams, field teams, and so what we do is bring them in as part of the discussion. The Defender package is available through our solution is available through their either E3 as an add-on or E5 licensing components, and then Red Canary. So that's sold as a separate solution, part of what Microsoft brings to the table and offers you as a customer. And then the Red Canary solution is sold on a per endpoint per year basis. And so we would look at the number of endpoints that you have in your environment, and then we would provide a pricing proposal as part of that per endpoint per year. Did that answer it, Nikki? Did that cover it?
It did. Yep, you covered all of the aspects raised in the questions. Someone is asking around, they're excited that Defender has become a really rock star, solid EDR EPP solution. However, some folks within his organization aren't convinced. He's looking for help on how to build confidence for this product internally. Any ideas?
I'm glad it was brought up. I know we had other questions submitted even outside of the chat here, so thank you for sending those. Microsoft has, from what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years, it's a new it's a new Microsoft, and I've been surprised by their willingness to kind of look at past issues, if you will, and attempt to make those right, and be very transparent about those. And I think all of us probably remember, at least if you were involved in IT or laptop, desktop support in any way, let's say 10 years back, if you got a laptop with Defender on it, which was anything that had Windows essentially pre-installed, the first thing you did was uninstall Defender and put the free stuff on because it was better. So they've not pulled any punches with that. They're very open about the fact that that was, it was a mediocre at best product. They've kept the product name, which I think has contributed somewhat to what you're describing, or what the question is mentioning there, that there's some baggage there with just Defender, and isn't that an old, an also ran type product. The good news, or the interesting news, is that there's some very recent information, even as recent as the last few months here, coming out from Gartner, Forrester, as Magic Quadrant type of information, where Microsoft is clearly in the top right, ahead of the game. And a strong contender. The AV side as well, they were probably a year ago, had made it up to the point where they were on par, if you will, on the benchmark perspective, and over the last year really punching way above some of the others in that arena as well. So it is a clear result of the investment and the commitment that, starting from the top, Satya made in the security realm, by making security one of the 5 or 6 key areas from a Microsoft corporate perspective that they will invest in. So all of that to say, there is information. We'll happy to share that, Nikki. I think we can provide that here, as well as in the follow-ups. And even if you just Google it, right, there's a lot of information out there to help your teammate or your company, those at your company, understand the progress that Microsoft has made. And the commitment is there, right? They've invested, obviously, the millions of dollars resource-wise that they have at their disposal to pour into the security product. And it wasn't just a platitude. It wasn't just something that was done kind of at a high level. There's very specific outcomes that they were going for, benchmarks that they were trying to meet and beat, and that has been part of the growth of the product. So before, I would just, as a final, I guess, period at the sentence there, it used to be an AV only solution, and it had its issues. They've really come a long way on the AV side. And then 2 or 3 years back, when we started working with them, they really did integrate or bolt on or build the EDR side of that solution. So that EPP, the full endpoint protection platform story, is strong for Microsoft now. And from the Defender perspective, we can share that information for you to help your internal teams understand that better.
Great, thank you. We've got another question in terms of the Red Canary and our experience across different EDR vendors, including Microsoft. Can you speak to the role in which Red Canary serves as a security ally to help future customers navigate that decision-making process, please?
Yes, definitely. So as an MDR provider, obviously we have strategic partnerships with the top EDR vendors out there. We rely on them as the core of what we do, right? We need that EDR sensor. We need the telemetry flowing to us in order to analyze and provide the service that we offer. And so we have relationships with, you can see on our website, a number of the leading companies out there, and that gives us a unique aspect, or a unique insight into the market to understand strengths and weaknesses of different solutions and why they fit. Honestly, and Microsoft has shared as well that they are not the solution for everything under the planet. Now, obviously, they want to sell more software, but they are very transparent in some of the areas where they're working to improve, or things to roll out. One of those big areas that they were made a big splash about recently was Mac OS support, right? So they've supported Mac for a long time. Live response actions are now in public preview and rapidly coming out to be fully supported. So those types of features and functions, not only the here and now of what they do and don't support, but also the roadmaps of the different vendors, and being able to help you understand. It's less about this is the one solution and the only solution. It's really understanding strengths and weaknesses of everybody's environments, honestly, are quite different. And so there are reasons to go with different vendors. Red Canary, as an MDR provider, can help you navigate that and give you more information about how to make that decision.
Great, thank you, Cordell. There's a couple questions in around Sentinel. And how is Red Canary's MDR solution positioned vis-a-vis Sentinel, please?
Yeah, so Sentinel obviously is newer to the marketplace. In the last couple of years has made a significant impact. A number of customers have moved that way. We're very interested in what they're doing with Sentinel, and we stay close to those teams. We're looking for, just historically, if you look back at what Red Canary looks to do in the marketplace, it's really to find problems and offer those solutions to customers, right? When it was before MDR was even a thing, before we really coined that term along with Gartner and some of the industry analysts, the need was very clearly to have an insight, interpretation, investigation of the data that was coming through. And so that same lens is what we look at when we look at other solutions that Microsoft offers. And Sentinel is one of those. It's a very interesting, not only SIEM, but a detection platform. And so as that solution evolves, we're exploring ways to work together and potentially be able to provide additional value on top of that. Today, we don't have a solution or an offering around Sentinel specifically. For those that were curious, it's not something that we have live and in the market today. But again, it's something that we are continuing discussions with the Microsoft teams, as well as exploring what the product features offer and how we can best integrate and find those problems or those pain points that customers are looking for that maybe in many cases can't be solved with software, and they need people. And so that's something that we're exploring on a regular basis.
Wonderful, thank you. That covers all of the topics that folks wrote in about, asked questions about. So that wraps the Q&A section.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Well, I guess I had a final slide here that is helping you see. You'll get this as part of the follow-up. But if you do have more interest in a demo request, we have that available. And obviously, you can see the Azure Marketplace has Red Canary's listing is in there as well to help you get more information and understand what we offer there. So would love to engage further if you're not already a customer. If you are a customer, thanks for taking the time, and feel free to reach out if this has generated more questions to your CSM or your incident handler. Be happy to discuss more about any questions that this may have raised. But thank you so much for the time. And as you can see here, we are passionate about about security, and especially about doing it together with Microsoft. There's just a great partnership here that we have continued to build over the years. Thank you so much.